And once again, a big welcome to the Tuesday Night Podcast, and welcome to Alexis and John, of course, and hopefully, fingers crossed, depending on other commitments, we might have an A-grader join us. We may not, but if he does...
Can he string three words together?
Yes, he can.
Well,
talk.
It's just like a handicap. Are they going to catch us or not? You know, they might be at the front of the race. They may not. We'll find out at the end of the show.
So let's talk Tuesday, though. And it was a night that there was almost more action off the bikes than on the bikes. John, the point series nearly exploded. It was nearly lost halfway through the race.
Well, it imploded, didn't it?
Yeah.
You would never have guessed an outcome like on Tuesday night like that, because every week consistently the main contenders always score points. 5 to go, you've got Jack on the side of the track with his chain tangled in his bottom bracket, couldn't get it out and twisted, so he's out of the race all of a sudden. So you've only really got one contender left in the race, Tom Bolton, and what happens to him? He just loses it in one of the corners coming out of the squircle. He's out of the race.
Now, I want to point to Jack, and you wouldn't have seen it, Alexis. John, were you on the sidelines by that stage?
Yeah, I just came in.
For podcast fans, John had a race in C grade. Look at that, man, go!
I'm back.
and I saw you doing a turn.
Yeah, no, I don't know what came over me.
Okay,
well,
let's go.
Gino hadn't done any turns, and I was determined to do one more than him.
And so what John did, of course, is when he did do his turn, he made sure he told everyone which way they should be rolling, as if they hadn't learned over the previous 12 laps about what was actually going on.
Great to see you racing again, John, and great to see you.
And loved it. It was a great night, actually.
Yeah, but Jack was on the side of the track, and he knew right there that Tom Bolton was the most likely winner, because A-grade were going to get up, and we knew that by 11 or 12 laps to go, it was just guaranteed that A-grade were going to get up. C-grade were riding fast, B-grade were riding faster, but A-grade, the gaps were closer. Cole held C-grade a bit back, and then he started A-grade a bit earlier. Jack was panicking, though, well, kind of in a calm way. He was hoping that one of his ZCC riders could take the win, because the most likely outcome was Tom Bolton winning the sprint.
At that stage, absolutely, yeah.
What I find miraculous about that, and we should just before, and we'll come back to it, I'm sure, later on the post, is when you were saying it was definitely going to be an A-grade win, there was only 15 A-grade starters. Like, where they were getting that power from just shows how good those guys are, that even in a really small bunch of A-grade compared to a massive C-grade that was more than twice the size, they were just eating into that lap time, lap after lap.
And sometimes the small, I was going to add that sometimes the smaller A-grade bunch is the faster A-grade bunch. So there's no passengers. So there were 15 starters in A-grade compared to
32 in B.
32 in B, massive bunch in B grade, 28 in C grade. But those 15 starters, all of them are pulling turns.
I believe that to be the case, but at the start of the race, I spoke to Jack Bennett on the microphone, and I said, is 15 slower than 30? And he said, no, 30's faster. And his reasoning was actually quite reasonable. He said, if 50% are working, there's 50% of 30 is 15, as opposed to 50% of 7.5, Dave Evans being the half, but he was in B grade. So his point was fairly well made. Look, in the end, A grade caught, B grade caught with about 5 laps to go to C grade. They came through them, and C grade, a lot of C graders were able to hang on to the B graders. Is that right, Alexis?
Absolutely. I mean, just very quickly rewinding. What it showed you with 15 riders working in A grade could beat the 8 of the 32 who are working in B grade. I looked at that as operation failure on B grade. By the start of the night, I was like, this is a B grade win for sure tonight. You know, you looked around, C grade were looking pretty weak. Yeah, I mean, we were being led around by John. So,
Once.
C grade, only 15 riders. I thought B grade, massive field. They're pretty much all there besides Humphrey B. Baird. And then an implosion, because just week after week, you've got half of the field who are going, I'm going to wait for a sprint that I won't win against A grade. I mean, B grade, I don't know how many rounds, we're 5-6 rounds into the year. They still haven't worked out. They're not going to win a sprint if A grade catch them. So they've all got to start working, or maybe some of them come back to C grade. Join us.
No, I'm actually defending B grade. I think they did a gallant job. I do believe that the handicap was in the favour of A grade. There was a bonus 20 seconds straight off the bat that I could see, and like from where A grade started. A grade were also putting it in the gutter. Marcus Culey was doing that, and the reason he said that he was putting it in the gutter is he knew they were going to get up, but he wanted a hard race. He didn't want the sprinters to get it easy. And in the end, guess what, John? His tactic worked in his favour. I did not predict the finish. I said everything wrong. Everything wrong. If I gave you $1,000 to make 20 different bets, 100 different bets, you would not have come up with that combination of that 3 riders, first, second, and third. And tell us how it happened, John.
So was it 2 to go? Marcus has hit him hard. He's gone alone. He's come down the straight, and on his wheel or chasing him was his teammate Brad Mills, and they had a gap which they kind of held, didn't they, at the bell? Is that correct?
No. Do you want me to take over?
Yeah, look, you take over, because I wasn't really watching.
That's right, because I was going to hate to ask for more detail from John, but A grade made the catch on B grade at what lap? Was that 2 to go or 3 to go?
3 to go. And
those guys went straight away, or did they just drift off after a bit of a...
No, at 2 to go, Marcus fired. He went away. He held a lead of no more than 70 metres. He came through with the bell. He was still away. He went into the squircle with nothing more than 20 metres. That was how close they were. There was no, like, it was all, you'd almost say he was caught. Then coming out of the squircle, he had 70 metres. Now, I'm going to guess, I don't know, but I guess that's when Tom had a touchdown. Tom Bolton had the touchdown in the squircle. And I think that...
in the sand.
Right. So that ricocheted a little bit, and Marcus comes out with 70 metres. Even at that point in time, it wasn't enough. Marcus been away for 2 laps. He went over the pimple. He still had about 50 metres. He comes into the straight, and the sprint starts behind him. And I know the sprint's going to catch him. And it does. It catches him halfway up the straight. But it's not the whole sprint. It's Brad Mills. Brad takes one look over his shoulder. The only rider he can see is Criddo, who's about 20 metres behind. And Brad just starts feathering his speed. It's like, it's gift time. And why was the gift given, John?
Because that was Marcus's swan song. And I look back through the results, and I think Marcus has been racing 8 years and never won an outright win. And so the 2 teammates, in fact, 3 of them, because Tom Bolton's the other teammate in the Attaquer Crit Dogs squad, that was Marcus's night. That was his farewell swan song to Heffron. Over
those 8 years, I'm just going to jump in, Marcus went closer to win the national title than winning at Heffron. He nearly won the national title. To you, Alexis.
So when was the last time Millsy has won at Heffron? And while you do your research, I just say, look, I've never had the pleasure of really racing with Brad Mills. I've never been good enough. But from what I can see, is he is one hell of a competitor. And he wants to win every week. And you see that when it comes to the monuments. So the fact that he was willing to give up that victory when it's probably been, at least 5 years, that's a bit of a big deal.
Close to it. Yeah, it was a big deal, actually. But I thought what was nice also was the camaraderie and sort of teammateship that those guys have got.
At the end of the race, I was talking to Marcus, and Brad Mills was there, and Brad interjected and positively said he didn't even have to think twice. he knew Marcus deserved this, and it was an easy choice for him to make to allow Marcus to win that. And on the sidelines we go, well, Brad Mills, yeah, he's won Tuesdays before. Marcus hadn't. Marcus, yeah, it deserved it. But Alexis, you think they should have been DQ'd for collusion, do you?
Absolutely, mid-race collusion. It was World Tour comes to Heffron yet again. Alexander Kurov, the old side payment was made midway through.
No, it was blood samples.
Unbelievable sandbagging.
Okay.
Sandbagging.
Okay.
I just want to point out the finish line photo, which I know you're going to pop up at this point.
Correct.
If you look at Brad Mills coming across the line, you would actually think he had won. That's how excited he was. I got to say, though, Marcus is now migrated south to Melbourne, and if he hasn't hit Beach Road yet and told them, hey, I won Tuesday night Heffron, I'd be surprised.
And they know. He doesn't have to tell them. When he gets to Beach Road, they say, hey, you're the guy that won on Tuesday night.
That's right. Hey, didn't you win a Tuesday night?
Yeah, Alexis and John were talking about you and shit. Yeah.
Exactly.
It was great.
We hear you're a bit of a big deal.
Okay, series points, they were nullified by Jack and Tom, both out of the finish. People scored points, but the rest of the grades, there's changes all over the place. Even though I haven't got it up, I'll put it up when we get there.
Well, I can tell you about
it. Rollo has managed to... Yeah, Rollo has sat the wheels all the way to week 5. And now he pops his nose in front. His nose is in front. He can defend this. He can win this.
He'd have to be the most popular series leader in his grade. No one would have more respect than Rolando within the bunch of going, gee, I'm glad he's winning B grade. All those other B graders go, mate, definitely. He's done the work. He deserves it.
Yeah, he's done the work from 7th wheel. How about Rolly? So he's got 2 wins now, and he now takes the leader's jersey in B grade on a count back because he and Henry are both on 6 points. But Rolly's 6 points are from 2 wins, whereas Henry's are from a first, second, and third. So, yeah, I think with 3 races to go, Rolly's a big chance for B grade this year. It's
hard to say. I was backing with Alexis saying Henry Baird was the most likely winner of B grade, but now how does he beat Rollo? You're not going to outwork him, that's for sure. He does a lot of work.
Well, I'll tell you how you're going to... Henry, I'll give you a tip on how to beat Rollo. Just hope, like Hal, in the closing 3 weeks, A grade get up with 5 or 4 to go. Yep. And Henry's the sort of guy that's going to be strong enough to go toe-to-toe right to the end, whereas I don't think Rolly would most probably be looking for the free ride.
The women's, I think the women's is now decided with Kira Will getting that win. She's going to have several weeks off because the national championships are 17th, 18th, 19th, something along those lines. And she's going down. She'll miss next week and the week after as well, most likely. She will be back.
I assume Haley's at the
absolutely
as well.
Yeah, Haley.
So she's on 6 points closest to her, and then you got Bree and Nicole Wilson both on 5. So they're the only 2 contenders left in the women's comp that can contest.
I feel they may actually take the lead, but I think when Kira comes back, she'll regain the lead. We'll find out. C grade, what the hell's going on in C grade? Because I've got no idea and I'm not looking at it.
C grade, we've got a clear leader. Hudson Rowling. He won his first C grade outright on Tuesday night. He was previously on 2 points. He's now on 5. And next best, he just beat Ben Dewhurst, who's the other C grade contender for the overall. So Ben's on 4. Hudson's on 5. Hudson takes the jersey into next week. But I think that's going to be an interesting comp.
Shout out to Hudson as well. He worked bloody hard on Tuesday night.
Oh, good.
And again, another Rowland junior development rider. Like, gee, they've had some success this season.
Fantastic.
With Benny, Lucas, and now Hudson.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I give a shout out to Finn Kane. 2 years ago, Finn turned up at Heffron. I don't know, 16 or 17 years old, and about as mate much weight, carrying about as much weight as your left leg, Alexi.
Yep.
You would have sworn he'd get blown over the first gust of wind, but he's shown a lot of determination, and he's finishing in good positions now in B grade.
I will ask John now. John, the fear for the leaders in each of these grades is that the grader, which happens to be you, John Sunday, is going to push them up a grade. Can we announce that said riders going for those jerseys, are they safe for the rest of the season?
Oh, they're safe.
Give us the scoop, John.
I'll give you a benchmark. Hudson and Ben are good benchmark C graders. Whereas I think when you look at Ashley, who won C grade last week, he doesn't ride like a C grader. He doesn't look like a C grader. And that's why he was in B grade on Tuesday
That's
night.
fair call.
And he loved it. He had a great time.
And what about the more controversial B grade?
The guys that should be coming up or down, Alexi?
Well, staying in B, the leaders, the race. When I look at that, you've got Rolando, Henry, Nick Costa, Chris Collins.
Yeah. Well, none of that. Well, Chris, don't forget that Chris opted to come back to B grade earlier.
That's it. And which I applauded at the time.
Yeah. That was a good move. I think now that we've got Dave Evans back in B grade, Dave rode well on Tuesday night.
He was pulling big turns at the pointy end at the right time as well.
Yeah. He was making a difference in B grade. So there you go, Dave. Well done, buddy.
So my fingers are crossed that you're going to keep Rollo in B grade, and let's confirm it now. And
like I said on the race report, Crafty, if you read it, Rolando was too good for B grade, but just not quite good enough for A grade. And
I think Rolando thanks you for that statement, and I think most of A grade also thank you for that statement. Something's come across my desk, and that they wanted a bit of a plug on the 1st of April, and it wasn't just like it's because they're paying me as well. But the 1st of April, there's a $5,000 cycling event at the Penrith Regatta Centre. It's a criterium and a time trial, $5,000 across both of the events. Red Line Games. I'll put up a little plug there. Looks like it should be pretty impressive. The criterium out there, it's a standard old school block for how many more weeks, John? Let's see if you can get it right this time.
Oh yeah, no, I've nailed it. So we've got 3 more weeks.
That old 6, chestnut.
7 and 8.
7.
But my prediction is, I think we will lose one of them to the weather.
Yeah, it's plausible. Yeah.
Yeah, we usually do in the end of March. We get one shitty, rainy, midweek. Hopefully we don't. But if we do, that just tightens up the options.
And it's also at that point in time where we've got to be really tight with time because the daylight is getting shorter. So we start never a second late. And on the last week, it is right on the cusp of darkness as we finish.
Pray for a clear, sunny night on the last week of March. So we did
want to do one more big thing. The Tom Bolton crashed. Yeah, right. Jack Bennett and his posse. They all hung around until Tom got back from being wrapped up by the first aid. And they waited at Heffron. It's pretty rare for the A graders to hang around that long, but that was pretty cool, eh?
They certainly did. They turned up at the pub at Fox Studios about 10 or 15 minutes later. They all rolled them together, and just a shout out to Tom. Hope he's feeling okay and not too bruised, but he seemed to be fine.
And what's your tip for Tom? Is it Bepanthen or better? What?
No, it's Bepanthen. You should put a photo up. Anyone who's got a graze, here's to you, Crafty. You get the Bepanthen out and the clear skin plasters, and you'll be fine.
Cool.
Before we wrap up, it'll be Rider of the Week. So
you
put some thought into that.
Just a quick shout out to Luke. Gets down there early to help with track setup every week, and then gets on his bike and has a go, and has a good go. And it was always very proud when he finishes and makes a point of coming to tell me that he did finish, which reminds me, shout out to Lily Fassan. First time she's finished a Tuesday night race. And so she went home very happy.
Excellent. Excellent.
Nothing
Okay,
better
rider
than
of the
a
week.
satisfied customer.
Rider of the week for me, Brad Mills.
Go Millsy.
John, what about you? Who do you think?
I just said go Millsy.
Yeah, you're in. You're in with Brad Mills, are you?
I'm in.
Yeah, okay. Alexis.
Look, on the ride home, I was like, definitely Mills. But then I thought, look, I tipped my hat to Brad Mills, but I'm actually going for the rider who came 10th in the race,
of course,
which is
Big
John
overall.
Papard.
Ah,
That guy,
okay. Yeah.
like, he must be, 41 years old?
Yeah,
and
the race.
just tears around every week. Was the first rider to come through when B caught C, does a mountain of work, and still managed to finish 10th. I mean, he's not a renowned sprinter.
Yeah, and
He was still there at the end.
He was
That's
probably
rider of the week.
all the way up the straight. He was probably talking to people in that sprint as well.
Absolutely, telling him, "You weak bastard, do a turn next week.
Come and do
Go
that.
on,
Pepsi-
go harder."
Pepsi,
I think he was.
Pepsi
He would have
loves
been
it,
yelling
you
at
know.
Millsy and Culey to go harder, go harder.
Okay, look, I think that's a really great rider of the week, Alexis, but we've got a democracy. That's why you're here, 2 versus 1. Rider of the week, it's Brad Mills, yeah?
Yeah.
Done. Right on. Gonna say it. See you next Tuesday.
Look forward to it.
See you next Tuesday.